It is your boy Daddy Nat, and this is my channel Side Hustle. Thank you guys for joining once again. Today I had an interview where I chatted with Boy Her, an artist from Loom who not only makes extremely dope music, but also has been a big supporter of Daddy Nat since day one. But it's really cool, you know, we dive into what got him into music, how he found Loom. We also talked about some music that he has coming up, and honestly, it was really just a fun time that I had chatting with him. We see the world very similarly, and I think that came through in this interview. Really had a fun time with it. I hope you guys enjoy. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy this interview with none other, the one and only Boy Her.
Well, your energy's good, bro. I can already tell it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So with all that said, dude, welcome to the Loom Artist Spotlight.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Dude, before I even like dive into questions and kind of hearing about your story and all that jazz, dude, I just want to say fucking thank you, man. Like, number one, like, thank you, because you have been such a huge fucking supporter of me since the day I joined that app, and I take notice of that shit, dude. I fucking, you know what I mean? It's been obviously.
Well, I do too. Like, you know, so like how I'm supporting you is how I've gotten support from others, and it's just like this big, like, it's not just me. Like, you know, like the support that you get from me isn't just from me, because in a way, it's like from everyone that supported me, and
yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like this big,
yeah.
But definitely, like, not to take away from like how I support you, it actually adds to it in that sense. You know what I mean? Like, that it really brings us all together. Like, what the passion that I share for your album, like your new album, is like I get to share that with everyone that loves it. Like, you know,
dude,
that's so special.
I was geeking so hard whenever you hit me up at like 12:01 a.m. or whatever on like the night it was supposed to drop.
Oh, dude,
and
I was so tired that night.
Putting it online at that exact moment, I was just like, fuck yeah, dude.
You don't even understand. I was in the middle of 40 days straight, no break, no days off from work. And I was like tired as hell, but I had really bad insomnia because like the cycle just like made me nervous. I was always nervous that I was going to oversleep, so I would be like nervous at night. And like once I get kind of tired at night, I start losing, like, I have a lot of joy during the day, but when I get exhausted, I lose my mind. Dude, I really do.
Yeah.
Dude, and so I was like, oh, bro. But then also you were talking about, like, I was like, when is that album coming out? And it was like late, and I was thinking about it before bed. And then you said, I'm dropping it. And I was like, shut up. So I was like, there goes like another hour. Like, I'm staying up. I don't care. Like, I'm listening to this thing.
Dude, I love that, man. Yeah, I know what you mean, though, dude. When you're like in those grind moments and you're just like, you're in the middle of it, and like that little piece of art is often the thing that like gets you through to that next day. And dude, it's weird how like sometimes whenever your energy is right, but you get very little sleep, like, but still go fucking crush the next day. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure college conditioned all of us for that. I'm not even kidding. Like, they were like, hey, you're going to have to finish this by so-and-so date. And you're like, okay, I have time. And then you start working on all this other stuff. And then you're like, oh, I have to pull an all-nighter.
Dude, it's so true.
Your energy provides. It will. If you set your mind to it, your energy provides. It doesn't matter. Sleep will come around.
Yeah,
but
man.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, dude. So do you want me to call you Boy Her? Does he like what's your first?
So okay, my name is Bear. Like, people call me Bear. My full name is Barrett.
Oh, bad.
My parents are wild. They're wilding. I don't know.
I love it. Bear's sick.
Yeah. So and so like people that I get to know through Loom, I usually end up being like, yo, by the way, my name is Bear. Like, if you would have just called me my name, it would be fine. Because the Boy Her stuff kind of ends up feeling weird. And like, even when fans start interacting with me a little bit more, I'm like, if you want to call, like, if you want to get to know
Bear, I'm always the same way. It's like, dude, Daddy Nat. I'm just like, just call me Nat, or like, you know what I mean?
Okay, wait. Let's talk about our names and how we came.
Okay, no, for sure. You go first.
Okay. Well, let's see. To be honest, like, from the very beginning, I was trying to think of something kind of gender neutral.
Okay.
Like, because like that opens the umbrella, but really, like, when I make or choose something that is like, like a name or something like that. It has to have 12 different meanings for me.
Right, yeah.
Not like I don't know. That's just always been me. I don't know how to explain that.
No,
But,
you want it to be deep, impactful. You want it to be
yeah.
layers to it, so it's
And
not like a one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really like kind of influences, or not influences, but like it's like corresponding with the music that I create, because like it kind of like really, when I zoom out on the entire thing, it's like my parents, and a lot of the light and the joy and the love that I have is like gifted to me because my parents really like did what they were supposed to do, and like tried their best like to provide a life for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like there's
DNA,
just,
it sounds like, bro.
yeah. Well, it's like I have good DNA, but I also have like there's a lot of like alcoholism and like anxiety, depression, bipolar disorders in the family. So like genetics great, but like the genetic piece is like interesting because I feel like you choose how to wire your brain at a certain age.
Mhm.
And like the
If
chemistry,
if you're self-aware enough, you can, you know what I mean?
right? And like I mean, I think that's what a lot of people like, once they get on that self-awareness journey, they're like, okay, wait, it's up to me. Sometimes you need therapy and like you need professional help to get to that point, but you never really know. Like if you have to be seeking the truth to find it for yourself, you know? So but my parents really gave me a lot of truth. Like they raised me in like the church. So like I feel like you know, like
where are you like, by the way? Where are you from, by the way?
I'm from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
I was born and raised here.
Bible, baby, Bible.
Yes, exactly. Like right close to that Mason-Dixon line. We all were like going to church and like showing up on Sunday and stuff like that.
Yeah, bro, I feel you.
But like now it's like I'm not like trying to like to like lower the importance of like anyone's religion, but like now I'm kind of just more all truths through religion makes sense to me.
Sure.
I'm like, my mind, like after going through college and like even high school learning like about new religions, I was like, okay, well, like the world has more than just like one thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it all depends on where you grow up and the cultural norms you like grow up with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean, you go to New York once and you're like, well, my life just changed forever. Like, you know, because like you see everyone and like no one's the same, and it's a lot. And so you're just kind of like broken of your like Louisville's not that small, but like it's not a big city either, you know?
Yeah.
So like there's something you can learn from just the world. But I love how that started on how I came to Boy Her, and you see how I spin out. Like
no, I love it. So
what about Daddy Nat?
Yeah, so Daddy Nat, like, dude, I'm the same way. Like, I have gone through, and I tell this people, artists who are getting started all the time, I've probably gone through like 10 in terms of band names and like artist names.
Yes.
I've only been a solo artist for a few years now, but like I did bands the whole time. But I've always gone through like, dude, spending so much time like researching names, coming up with a list of like going through the different scenarios, going with one name and switching it. And so, you know, it was very important to me as well. So the reason I landed on Daddy Nat, you know, and I guess a lot of people probably don't know this, but my first name's Nathaniel. So like I was named after my great-great-grandfather, who in Texas, we all call like our grandfathers daddy whatever. So it's like, you know, my grandfather, his name was Bob or Robert. So we all called him Daddy Bob. Like my dad's name is Dave. We call him Daddy Dave. You know what I mean? It's like it's been like a family thing or whatever. Like my grandkids call him that. Or not my grandkids. My children will call him that. So it's like been a thing that's been passed down for generations. So that was like the OG. He was like this fucking dude in the 1800s who was like a sheriff and like.
Dude, why do I picture him with like a waxed beard and like the curly and like a colonel with like a monocle and shit? Like,
fucking.
There's a new sheriff in town. Like, yes. Like I swear, you need to look up and see if you can find photos of him.
Oh, dude, I have some. I'll send you some after this.
That's so sick. That's what I'm saying. Okay, that should be like your first like long way down. you just like bust through saloon doors and you're dressed as your great great grandfather. Like, please.
Hey,
Oh my god.
My creative director sometime.
Dude, if I had the like time and money, I would just be like, we're doing this. Everyone get together. Come on.
Dude.
We need a crew of 25 people to pull this shit off. Let's go.
Dude, I can't wait for moments like that, dude. That's what's really exciting.
I know, right?
To come with Luke.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, was kind of like it was like a family name that got passed down.
Nice.
You know, it makes it a little easier for me that way because I was named after him, so it's kind of like an honest story. But the other side of it, like, is that, you know, and I don't know if you know this either, but so I grew up in small town Texas my whole life. Like, like it sounds like you grew up. You said you're Louisville, is that right? Sorry, I have bad memory.
Oh, Louisville.
Yeah. So you got like you're in Louisville, so you know, you grew up there probably your whole life, right? I'm the same way. I grew up in a super small town. I left and lived in New Zealand for actually like 4 years after.
Yeah, I heard that in your Wave Walk interview. That's so cool.
So
That's
was
sick.
like, I mean, just a super, I'm blessed to have that opportunity, number one. But the fact that I was able to see it through, it kind of made me, when I came back to Texas after that, it was like, oh, yo, dude, like, you're a 7th generation Texan. Like, you need to get in touch with who you actually are, because such a whole long time growing up, I just ignored that shit. You know what I mean? I was just I was so anti, like, you know, I'm not an East Texas guy, you know, but I am.
Yeah.
I mean, and I can be a fucking, you know, musician and an artist and an entrepreneur, and I don't have to be encapsulated by where I grew up. You know what I mean?
All of that.
Deep down, it is inherently who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's where you come from. It's like you can take pride in that. And like, also, it doesn't have to be your identity. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't. Exactly it.
Yeah. So like, you can go somewhere else, but like, it's so cool to bring, like, first of all, cool that you get to bring some of New Zealand home and share that with like your friends and family.
Yeah.
But then also like that you took your like small town Texan life to New Zealand. Like, I'm sure the people in New Zealand were like, what's that? Where are you from?
All call me Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, eh? Like, you know, like that.
Totally. That's so funny.
So anyway, that was kind of a cool little, you know, little backstory on both of us. But but I do want to dive into you a little bit more, man. Like, so maybe tell me a little bit about like your upbringing from the perspective of what drove you to be an artist. Maybe like some of the influences, and you know, you go as deep as you want or as thin as you want.
Like from the inciting incident of like, okay, you know, when I feel like you're 8 or 9 and like things are chill and you're just like running in the neighborhood and then like you turn 10 and you're like, I'm 2 digits now, and like 11 you start to have like adult feelings that like are so misplaced and you can't, it's like so weird.
That's an interesting I haven't heard it articulated quite that way, but I totally know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, and this is just my experience too. I'm not trying to say that this is how it goes for everyone.
But it's true, dude. It's true. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I think that like when I was 11, I had no capacity to deal with like emotion, like at all. Like I'm so like operative out of my head. I'm constantly like mulling over thinking. Yeah. Sometimes it's like an addiction of mine. Like I have to stop and meditate just to get out and like calm my thoughts down. Cause like there's no sense in using English all the time in your brain to occupy, you know? So like, just to kind of like quiet the voices, but like, yeah. And then, so like when I was young, all of that emotion like flooding in, I started writing like poetry that was awful, but still like not like, it's still special because I was doing it, you know? And then like I always cherished art in any form. Mm-hmm. So like if I was like painting or whatever, like a lot of it, like not great, but hey, I'm doing it. And it was the feeling though, you know, like creative, it was the feeling. Yeah. So like that is kind of, I think once those emotions started getting too much for me, and like, which is so like, me listening to Taking Back Sunday as an 11-year-old child, thinking that like a girl just left me and I like had only dated, like, you know how that is, like you're just like all of that. And so like that was the beginning, you know, and I had a lot of friends that liked singing, and like, you know, choirs and being around church and like communal singing and stuff, it all just always kind of felt like an outlet.
Like you knew you had a voice deep down.
Yeah, and more so like less than like, wow, his voice is so good, but more so like I had something to say. I feel
Right.
like we all do.
Sure.
And then even so like recently, I had this past year, I had a huge struggle with like I've always struggled back and forth with like making music because I don't have like the powerhouse like take you to church vocal. Like that's practiced and I never really put like all the time into like craft.
Right.
Because like the way I've always had music is like it's always been there for me.
Mhm.
I not all the time. I never all the time showed up for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I would get depressed or like I would act like I don't even know. I would be going through some ego weird shit and then like just be like I'm not doing it or like I don't know. So like
Well, I think that's kind of the problem with like artists in general, man, or maybe the other people's perception of artists. You look at an artist and you hear that like, you know, you hear a song like let's say, you know, like let's say Old Town Road. Let's just take any song, right? You know what I mean? Like let's take any song, right? Dude, that took him 30 minutes to an hour of creative energy that happened. It just happened. You know what I mean, dude?
Yes,
like, actually write that
do.
stuff happened. And he could have gone to a rut for the next fucking 4 weeks of not making creative anything. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
A lot of artists have. And I think what a lot of people don't recognize is you can't just conjure that up out of thin air.
Oh,
like you
no.
really do have to have the inspiration and like the drive and the stars have to align for you to set up and actually deliver. Now, I think showing up, it's the hardest part, and you kind of do have, as you get older, you
do
get more ethic, you know, and you get better.
Yeah, you get the work
When
ethic.
you're a kid, bro, yeah, you're just like, this is cool, and then somebody else is like, whoa, that's great, and then you know.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to make recorded music.
Yeah. Like
like all
type stuff, or like
I don't know. Like, what do I make? Like, I don't even. Sometimes I don't even know what I make. I'm like, what am I in the process?
You make good
pop
creating, dude. You make
pop,
good pop dude.
And like I want to make pop, but then at the same time, I will make a song like I don't know how to explain this, but like I'm not a fan of my music all the time. So like I will send a song out and then be like, people will love it, and I'll be like they like it, and I like sent it out before like I had an opinion on it, and then it's like, okay, it's cool. Like we're doing this now. We're
vulnerability.
Yes, vulnerability.
Yeah, dude, I get you. And I actually was you know, it's funny, like sometimes, you know, what I notice a lot about artists that I love, you know, just because it's their #1 song in terms of streamed doesn't mean like that's really going to give you the perspective that artist is, that whole story that artist is trying to tell. Like I listen to man, and like I honestly love like what's your top one?
I think Sweet Hornet, which is hilarious.
So I love that song, so but like the next two that follow that in terms of your popular plays, dude, I like those. Like I fucked with those a little bit more. So it's like
I do too, though. Like like you know how like I'm sure One Night is your #1. It's got like 10,000 congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's so cool. Like I don't know. You probably don't want to like.
It's not my favorite song.
And, like hum it, right? Yeah, like.
But it is a song that, like, you know, it was one of the first songs I ever wrote where I was just like, oh, everybody is responding well to this, so it was really interesting. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a way. That's a momentum. Like, you know,
catch them, bro. Sometimes you just have to, you know, eventually, like everybody, I think, has the capacity to write a hit song. But it's not going to happen every time. You know, it might happen out of 10 times. It may happen in 1 out of 100 times. But everybody has the capacity to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like for the way Sweet Hornet just came together, it like culminated off of like I want to make a fun beat. Like I want to make up tempo because I'm sick of like sitting in the studio all sad and shit all the time. So like and really that was like a breakthrough for me because I knew. You know my spirit, like how I'm here, like corresponding with you. We're back and forth, and it's like fun. We're happy and all of that. That's how I interact with people. When I get alone, I start to like kind of like, and I like to dapple in those, like, you know, it's weird. I'm like, but like, I feel like it adds perspective for me.
It's
like,
authentic,
you know?
bro. It's
Yeah.
emotions. Like I'll come in the studio and I will legit go write a song that I really love, but I know I'm never ever gonna release for Daddy Nat. And
Yeah.
I just that I personally have to do that as an artist. You have to go create stuff that, like, you know, I might go make a thug ass 90s boom bap hip hop beat that I'm just
Yeah.
bobbing my head to, feeling like I'm gonna be the next fucking Jay-Z. But the reality is that's not me. So it's
Yes,
like
I totally know, because I make rap beats and I'm like, if I like, and I've tried
and I'll even try to rap over them, dude. I always
don't, right? Like, I'm
and it's
like,
fuck.
no, that's why we have a community on Loom, to reach out to the rappers we love and
To
be like,
yo,
hey,
I got
I've
this
got a good
beat.
hook and a beat, but like, if you want to throw down, that'd be sick, because I have tried. That shit is not cute. Oh my gosh, it's like maybe once like I get to like like literally collab or like meet those rappers in person and kind of like talk to them and like maybe watch them at their craft, like I might be able to pick up on some of that. But I've literally only been to like 4 rap concerts in my entire life, and it's like I listen to rap. Everyone listens to rap growing up,
Right.
but like that doesn't mean it's gonna inform you like on how to do it.
Doesn't mean it's you. You know what I mean?
It doesn't mean it's you either.
Can
Yeah.
appreciate things without it. Just because it touches your soul doesn't mean it's a part of your soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Or
kind of
your expression, a part of your
yeah,
expression.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's totally great perspective.
It's hard, dude. Like as an artist, you know, I have always struggled with the artist development and like actually releasing stuff that I think is indicative of like the brand that I want to create. And that's kind of the divide that's like, I feel like that's why artists struggle so much, man. We don't want to be vulnerable to show who we truly are. We'd rather go make a song that everybody's gonna like because it's more
right.
Well, it's not always that way, but like that is what a lot of popular artists do, you know?
Yeah, and maybe that's also why I'm uncomfortable with some of my music too. Well, first of all, like tonally, like I'm my biggest critic when it comes to like voice and tone and all of that. But also like that I'm uncomfortable with what I created. Like it doesn't sit well with me because it's a place in me that's not comfy all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Yeah. If somebody you're like always expecting somebody to say that one thing that triggers you about that because you are vulnerable, you know, at least for me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like if I release certain music, I'm like, well, somebody's going to say this or something. And it's like, it's not even a conscious thing. It's just like a just kind of thing that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I even have, well, like I'm going to eventually take down the Rip Boy album from Loom. Because it was like originally it was meant to be like a mixtape. Sure. And like by mixtape I mean that in the truest sense of like I'm just gonna burn this shit and send it to you. Like because it's like every song is a different producer, and like I want to release my self-produced music. Yeah. And like promote that, like everything on my own, not like because I don't want people's help. I do, like I will get my friends like advice and like people helping me, but when I go into the studio it's like I want it to come from me. That's my authenticity. And so I'm gonna eventually like be like, hey, if y'all want this, like I'll burn it for you and mail it to you. Send me, DM me your address or whatever.
Dude, that's a great move, dude.
Yeah, because then
nobody's
those
doing
special
that.
fans,
nobody's sending real mail.
Right? Like mail. TYB sent me. Like he went and posted and was like, yo, I have some extra stickers, and I was like, please, I want some. Like, he sent them to me, and he sent me like a handwritten note and like a special sticker like that was for his album Linger. Like that was just that's some raw shit. Yeah, that's, you know, like that feels great. That was like a highlight because like Loom, this energy that we're all on is just like the community. It's like, you know how it's there for you. Like you just know it.
Dude, it is. It's really interesting. Like I think as Loom progresses, you know, I think it's people make jokes about this all the time, and at least in my network is like, when's that hater finally going to come on Loom? You know what I mean? Like when are you going to find? Yeah. It's like because I think once we hit that critical threshold, it's like happen, right? But like honestly, bro, the worst thing we have on Loom now is like people spamming their music and not really engaging with anybody. And that's not, like, that's just a byproduct of like starting a good platform.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. And I've talked to actually S Baby about this.
Okay.
She gets a lot of like the people like in her inbox. She slays the game with engagement. I like her style of engagement.
Yeah.
Because if someone likes her post, she will like at them in the comment section. And I think that like, I don't know, I just want more people to feel comfortable commenting.
Right.
Because I feel like Loom has really kind of started up on like heavy versus like comments. And that comes with vulnerability
It's
as well.
changed though. It's changing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, people are getting to be more, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it is very like heavy. It is very like, you know, it's hard to it's you know, it's just early. I think is part of the thing about Loom is like there's a lot of people, particularly from the fan side, that, you know, until they find that artist that they really connect with, they're kind of passively into the app. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then, like, you know, you find a fan who's like a huge fan of a certain artist, like you or me or any other artist on the app, and then they're sold on it, and then they're like, okay, now I might, you know, people have to warm up to that, I think, you know.
Well, for sure. And then
we just liked pictures whenever we started on Instagram, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Loom's,
it was basically like, the way Instagram was founded upon likes, and now they're like talking about taking it away. I would love to watch that just like crumble, and everyone be like, what do we do without likes? Like, oh my gosh. It's actually interesting because like that I haven't been on Instagram for like, I had a BlackBerry for 3 years of my life. Like right up until, I'm not kidding, right up until this November. I had a BlackBerry Classic. Yes.
Well, your Twitter game is fucking through the roof, bro. I feel like you kill it on Twitter.
I feel like my hiatus. Also, I used to have all the social medias when I was in college. Okay. When I went and looked back at like the things that I unconsciously said because of just like being a drunk college student and like a partier, and then like coming back to classes and feeling strung out and spent. Yeah. And then I looked at like the things I would say on Twitter, and I'd be like, that is not cute. Like, that's gotta go. So I really was just like, I need to change. And
I'm the same way. Like, I cut off all social media. I basically didn't post until 2019. Like, I just had such a divide. And I think a lot of artists are this way, where it's like with the moment that you give in to social media as an artist, and I don't know if it's like this as much, it's becoming more and more accepted that if you are an artist, you do need to do these things on social medias. But historically, like over the last 4 or 5 years, I felt like I was selling out like a motherfucker when I posted all the time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Who wants to know about me? Like, you know, it's...
Yeah. I changed my Instagram handle when I was doing all the Rip Boy project. And like, I changed it to Rip Boy, and then I was promoting it every day because I was making a song every day. And I had like low engagement, and then it just started feeling weird because like I had like 1,000 followers on my personal like thing, and it's like half people I knew, like actually most people I know, like, you know, and not to be
the biggest critics.
Yeah, and the people that you know, honestly, I don't think are always into your shit. Like they're like, until you develop yourself, like, you know, until they see you like become like, they're not there for the journey. I don't feel like, well, like I don't know.
They don't want to see, you know, it's like people who you grew up with, like very few of them. So I like have a couple
There's
days
like 3
who like I really, really fucking love. But I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, even those motherfuckers, and I do podcasts with one of them, like every fucking week. I do stuff.
That's so cool.
All the time, bro. But like, and he's a musician as well, and he crushes it. But I'll tell you, we see each other differently than somebody who I meet today. Like, there's a perspective that a person has today that will appreciate my art, appreciate my sort of entrepreneurial activity, like the mindset that I have today. And there's a part of both of us that I treat him sometimes like he's still that 16-year-old best friend of mine, and I'm 16 best year old. And so it's interesting how Yeah, dude, your day ones or the people that you grew up with, they are really want to box you in. Like the vast majority of people just want to kind of box you into a certain thing, and then when they see you doing
Yeah.
something different, like they can't see you as that, as the artist you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As the manifestation of all the things you've done, you know, in your life.
Yeah. And also the advertisement that Instagram and all of those other things already are. Like, people don't realize that they're advertising themselves, even if they're not an artist. Like, they're advertising their life to you, especially when they're telling a story through their Instagram. That's why, like, 5 years ago, I stopped posting once again, another thing, vulnerability issue. I stopped posting photos of myself, but I started posting collages.
Oh, cool.
And I was just like, I'm gonna sit down and cut this paper up and paint it and make it look crazy
that's
and
sick,
post
dude.
it.
Send
Yeah.
I want to look at that. That's sick.
Yeah. I'll send you that. It's like, and then I started a collaboration page with my friend that was like collages, and then they would write poetry, or they would send me poetry, and I would make a collage based on their poem. But like, so we were having fun on Instagram, and like, we could have 200 followers, and like 15 people like it, but that felt like better because we were expressing ourselves, and that's kind of like the artist in you that like, and that's when I was like, also Instagram, all of these social medias are what you make it. So like, you don't have to, and I think that's what you kind of were talking at. You don't have to shy away from self-promotion, because once you get engaged with a following that really does support you, then you don't feel bad anymore.
Yeah, it's also about figuring out who you are. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think part of the reason I didn't post as much over the last few years is because I wasn't fully confident in like what I was doing, who I am, and really what, you know, what I wanted out of life. I think I knew deep down, but I wasn't willing enough to like let the whole rest of the world know that and wear it as like a badge of honor on my thing. You know, it's kind of like a day job, but when I go home, I'm a motherfucking legend. I'm making music. I'm making hits. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When you're at work, you're just kind of like, nobody needs to know that about me. Blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and so
yeah,
I think that's really like, if you're posting stuff that's legit you, and you at least are willing to say, I don't care what happens if I post this. This is a true peek into my life, no matter the consequences. And the reality is, there's usually no consequences. There's usually only benefits. But if you're looking at it in such a sort of feared mindset, like I think that is, once you overcome that, you really do become a little bit more fulfilled by that, because it's a manifestation of what the dream you're trying to live. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that like, you're like, you know your truth at a certain point, and you know that fear isn't your truth. Right. So once you kind of overcome the fear and connect back with the truth, like all of that goes away, and you're like, okay, wait, I'm operative again.
I'm all good. I'm all good.
Everything, let's go. Yeah. Then the wind catches in your sails, and you're like, let's go.
Yeah,
let's
dude.
do it. Yeah.
So yeah, man. No, this has been some good content we got going on here, dude.
Yeah. I know we totally are both like spin off, trail off kind of people.
We do, man. But I think
so it's been a journey.
It's organic, you know what I mean? I think
that's for sure
about it. So I do kind of just, keeping going down the track. So I know you produce your own music, right? You want to talk a little bit about like how you got into production, maybe the software you use, how you approach your creative writing process?
Yeah. I always start with usually music informs my lyrics always.
Okay.
I have one of my favorite artists, Cheryl. She like writes her songs.
Yeah,
she's amazing. And like also why I was like, okay, not even kidding you, this July, like her album came out, Slow Motion, and hearing her production made me go, okay, first of all, I know for a fact that I'm nowhere like near that talented, but it inspired me in a way that was like, you can do this.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like hearing it just made me go like, wait, you need to get back to music. I had gone like years, like a long time. I had like GarageBand on an old Mac.
Yeah.
And
that's where you started tinkering around, basically.
But that was like years ago, and so Yeah, right. It's like GarageBand. There's nothing better for a starting artist, and even complete like some people just make their shit in garage. Like Steve Lacy used his iPhone for a lot of his demos.
Steve
Like,
Lacy is such
yeah,
OG, dude. Like the fact,
yeah, right.
man, what's that
I
one
know.
that's like, na 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 na, but you know what I'm talking about or whatever. It's like one
Is
of his
it
like
his new ones? One of his on his new
older
album?
stuff. It's like
Oh,
the first song.
I'm trying to think of that
Anyway,
entire.
when I found out
I
he wrote
love
that
that.
song on his iPhone and he produced some of Kendrick
Yes.
Lamar's songs on his iPhone,
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
like,
Yes.
"Fuck me! I need
He
to
was just
fucking
like making
change up
loops.
my format."
Well, yeah, it's that's how one of the main reasons I started my Brevin Kim remix on a flight home from Las Vegas
Yeah.
because I was like, wait, if Steve Lacy can produce on his iPhone, bitch, I'm starting now. There's no excuse.
Swag.
Yeah. So like that's and also you come up with such different music you never would have if you were using your phone than if you were sitting in the studio. So yeah, the reason I brought up Cheryl is because she like writes a lot of lyrics and then like uses that to inform her music, where like as I'm doing it like backwards, like
Right.
I start the music and then it like gets the flow of emotion out.
Right.
And which I love that like you can do it anyway. Like, and I'm excited to like write a song and then go and try to make like a track to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
So the process is really just like me a lot of times sitting in the studio going, okay, let's try something new.
Yeah.
I'm sick of using the what is that? The keyboard that I always use, like classic electric piano, and then like I fuck with like the EQ, and I'm like, where do I want it to?
Use what DAW do you use? Do you like Ableton?
Logic now.
Logic.
So
Okay, Logic,
yes.
Logic.
I just got Logic this summer. I like saved. Yeah. I'm not mad at Logic at all,
Dude,
but
great.
like I had Ableton live,
yeah,
and it was yummy. Like it was a trial version, and so I could only make like one song at a time and then delete it.
I know it.
Like it was
I know
something like that.
About. Yeah.
It was something just
to,
like that.
Bounce the wave out or something like that.
Yes.
But you save it. You know what I mean?
And you're still kind of not mad because you love the way it's sounding, and you're like, Ableton, give me life. And so now it's just like I feel like I have to work. Like Ableton makes you can like kind of get the sound you want and just be like, ooh, that's how I'm following this direction, because Ableton kind of just like showed me this fun sound I could do. Right. And like with Logic, you really have to have your intention set on, I want this sound, I'm gonna go find out how to make it.
Right. Ableton's very like it's meant to have very low creative barriers, so like you can just have a quick workflow. But Logic, you're right, like you have to be a whole lot more intentional in Logic. There's honestly, there's benefits to each.
There always are.
I've used Ableton about 5 or 6 years now, so it's like because of that, my workflow is so much faster in that.
I totally understand.
The producer I work with, Lonely Child, who does I take him all my projects, and we basically create, like, take the demo and turn them into the songs that they are. He uses Logic, and so I've been able to go through that and get a little more comfortable with it. And honestly, like I really love Logic, so I'm gonna have to get. I use a Windows right now, but when I'm gonna get a Mac again, and then I'm gonna get Logic again.
Yeah. I think also it's cool. There's like even a mastering kind of feature in Logic, which is tight. Right. Because I'm nowhere near. I can't even get my mix down. Like Sweet Hornet is so like the vocal levels are.
But dude, the vocal, it sounds dope, dude. Like, cause then you have artists like Billie Eilish, bro. Her and her brother are breaking all the rules in terms of how you're supposed to mix songs. Now, granted, they sound, I'm sure they have now like fucking Ricky Reed and all these crazy big producers.
Well, that's the thing. I think Phineas really does slay the game at getting I think they take their time. Like it took them years to get their like latest album out. Right. But I think they do a lot of the front end work because they want that control, and then they send it off to be mastered. So like It is pretty crazy. But like also that's like what I'm trying to do. Like Sweet Hornet has been I've been opening it in my DAW for like 3 months. Then I have to like, I'm like bouncing. Now I'm like, because I still don't know how to produce. Like,
Right.
I have never made a final mix.
Right.
Yeah. I'm figuring all of that out. Like, I'm learning as I go. Like, the way Sweet Hornet was born was just to get the idea out.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like ever professionally, like me being like, I'm going to be pro on this. It was like, I need to get this idea out quick because like it's coming and I just want to get it done.
Yep.
And now I need to go back and like bounce the single vocal tracks and like because like I'm not close to the mic in some of it. I'm just feeling it. So like I'm like, and I'm like getting out like, so like I was just like feeling it. So I have to like really go in and do the work now.
But
and
you're fair. Like you know what.
Yeah.
And
I know it's potential.
Don't understand that, dude. A lot of people don't really get, like, they look at a song like One Night or a song like any song, you know what I mean? Take a song like That Guy by Billie Eilish, like that. So much work to get each individual part to sound so crisp and with so much intent. And you just
so much.
Dude, that shit just takes a long time.
What about your sax? Like One Night is saxy.
So that's Lonely Child. He plays the fuck out of a saxophone.
No way.
So
my God,
it's maybe an interesting story. So like 2 years ago, it was literally January 2nd, 2018. It was the first day that me and Brian ever went in this, or his name's Brian, but Lonely Child ever went in the studio. Shout out Lonely Child, by the way. And dude,
yeah, legit.
Prior to that, I just knew him from working with one other popular artist called Mobley in Austin, who like had just recently got his first 1 million streams on Spotify, was in the process of getting signed. Like it was really on the come up. And then one of my buddies who was a former bandmate of mine, who I grew up with, one of my day ones, like basically he got approached by him. It didn't end up working out because he does charge money for his studio time, right? And so I was just like, well, I'm kind of sitting here, I have all this work and I really need to take it to the next level. And he's really, you know, honestly, I don't know if I say it enough. I try to say it as much as possible, but like Daddy Nat is like, it's me, but the music that you've heard today, like, you know, a big portion of that is him. You know what I mean? He's really bringing in his own creative energy, and it's been, I think, very different for him, whereas he's used to basically just taking somebody's like fully polished, like very well, like song that's been played 60 times on the road already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, yo, dude, I got all these crazy demos. I wrote this in 15 minutes yesterday. What do you think? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yes, I totally do.
It's been cool, dude. Like how accepting he's been of me, and I've been willing to, you know, let him. You know, there's been days where we spend a whole day and I pay him for a day in the studio and we don't necessarily have something to take away afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just understanding that's the business. That's where the business side comes in. It's like, you know, you really just have to keep going and keep doing your research and trying, you know, and anyway, I know I went on a tangent about
I feel
that.
you.
But
I feel you. Oh my gosh, no. And then so awesome too that he just slays the sax on whatever.
Dude,
whatever he's vibing, just like slaying. It's insane.
And are you theory trained? Like, did you learn theory growing up?
No, I sat like the closest I ever got was just me being like pretty depressed in college and like running away to a piano room and spending like way too much time. Sun up, sun down, just next to a piano. So like I like in no way. And then I had like a lot of music friends, so like that were taking music theory. Yes, and also just staying around a tuned piano and like hearing key and just hearing how it interacts. Also having a love for music, like all of that. It's like I would love to have theory, and I feel like it would help me honestly, like down the road. But at the same and like also just makes sense, like lighting up with all of the music that I've always enjoyed in my life, but like it's always been handed back to me like through the artists that I like to be around, as in like the classically trained ones that I grew up with like in school. I went to like my school was like a performing arts school. Cool. That I was in like media communications. My high school.
Oh wow, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so I was around like I was in media communications. I did like journalism and stuff. So I was always like reporting on them. And then like halfway through my high school, I was like, I need to be doing this. So I started taking like piano and like started taking like the performance based classes. And all of the vocalists that were around me then were like giving me tips and like stuff like that. So like I really don't think I would be this singer that like I am like without like all of the help along the way, because it's not easy. Like singing is not easy, like at all.
Well, it's
For
not,
me,
and it's
unless you feel it, until you feel it.
Let me ask you this. So, like, I grew up out of the womb, bro. I can remember literally being like 5 years old and listening to like my first Aaron Carter CD and like singing every fucking note of those songs. You know what I mean? And like singing NSYNC songs and being able to hit all the notes. So, like, I've sang for a really long time, and so that has really fucking helped me out because I didn't learn theory until probably like 5 years ago, and I really don't know that much theory. I just know enough to where I don't have any roadblocks creatively. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But Brian motherfucking knows, like, he'll hear a note and be like, no, you know, like play it on 3 different instruments. I'm like,
oh yeah,
that's sick.
For sure. I think that's also where live jamming comes in, is like if you really want to get into like what a key is, just you need to be sitting with other people that know a key and can strum a rhythm and like be like, hey, you go ahead and try some lead right now. And like you can't feel like a dumbass for hitting a note off key. Like you just have to keep going. And like that's the point.
I think we're very fortunate to have, like, I don't know about you personally, but when I grew up, being a rock band was like the way that a white guy becomes a musician. That's like,
yes, you know I mean? Absolutely. Like if you're lucky if you become like a Third Eye Blind cover band by the time you're 30. You know.
Exactly. And your goal is to basically go and make, you know, rock. I mean, for me, it was always be a lead singer in a band and go make like rock music. And what I found out through that is I did learn what it's like to hit a wrong note and the feeling you get of that. You know what I mean? And I started doing that from a really young age. You know, I picked up guitar at like 12. So like it's such an interesting point. Not to be rambling on this, but like, dude, you're right. So many people today, they're just literally going and starting with a laptop. And the fact that we were able to start with other instruments, dude. Yeah. Like it actually.
Well, and that informs our music
a little bit more, you know? Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Like, you know, we are not like DJs, like, or maybe like, I don't know how much you get in the studio and like remix like your music to get the sound, like the samples and stuff. Cause I hear a lot of like sample, and that's a part of what I love about your album is like sampling. Like,
that's kind of how it is, dude. Cause I spent over a decade basically just writing the songs with guitars and singing for it. And then I got to a point where I was like, dude, I just love this music. Like, how come they're allowed to bring in a fucking 20s propaganda film sample in this song?
Yes.
It was awesome. And then have like weird, cool drums. Like, it was just like, dude, I just think I realized the music I was making was really outdated. And I was so fascinated by like internet music and like fucking, stuff that gets made on a laptop. And then it kind of just, that curiosity got me to where we are now.
Yeah. I love the people that can take music that already exists and make a completely new song out of it. Like, I'm like, y'all, come on, like, give me more. Like, but see, then I can't really get enough of like anything, like any of it. Like, I love it all.
I feel that, dude. So let's kind of, I guess, shift gears a little bit and maybe let's talk about kind of how you found Loom and what brought you to Loom, and kind of, obviously I know you're a big fan of it, and I know able to build an audience there, just like a lot of us who have kind of gone from like having not a ton of an audience to like an audience
having
organically. Tell me a little about like how it came to be. And I don't think they're based in Kentucky, are they?
No. Yeah. I talk to them all the time about how we can start getting people out here too.
Yeah.
But
y'all have what's his name? He's a rapper that I'm a really big fan of.
Jack Harlow.
Jack Harlow, dude. I love Jack Harlow.
I've met him in person. He's down to earth and just like chilling. and really like has his head on. Like he's got his sights set, and so he's just in the process of like doing. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's good. That's a good energy to be around, and like just that's what you become like when you're like operating on
Preston
like
Tiller's from your area as well too, isn't he?
Yeah,
Dude,
he works where I work. Like he worked
the
at
pizza shop?
UPS.
No.
Well, maybe
okay.
yeah.
I know he worked at a shop at one point, but
yeah, but I think he worked at UPS too. And like the thing about like working at UPS is that you have an assignment. You go on a plane, you unload all this cargo, and then you like wait for the next plane to get in, or like so you have like some downtime.
You
in
shoot
between.
the shit with people. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like also like I've written music there.
That's
like
awesome.
Just because I have like the loops in my head, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like write this. But like also the area is just like very central, so like it's really nice for like if you want to schedule, like I could do Cincy, Louisville, Nashville, and not have to drive more than like an hour and a half for
That's
like
so
all. Yeah, so like that's nice. And then also just like to go like to New York, I can be there in a day. To the bottom of Florida, I could get there in like less than 24 hours.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, so it's like it feels nice.
Places, yeah.
Very simple. So yeah, central. So I've been able to like just throughout growing up, been able to see this East Coast side of things.
Yeah.
You know, like by way of car. That's like, yeah, that's exciting. Just this location. And then I think what also makes it like another like something to be proud of for me, like to get and like try to integrate it on the map, like to be like, yo, I'm from Louisville, like y'all come out here, see what it's about, like, you know, because it's central. Y'all could get here just as quick as I can get there too, so like let's hang.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel you. Nah, dude, it's Austin's kind of like that as well, where it's like, you know, kind of right in the middle. You just like, I can go to the East Coast I can get to New York in the same time I can get to San Francisco. So it's like, you know, it's
yeah, Sarah and Morgan have been begging me to go to South by Southwest.
Do it, please.
I know.
I know it's hard. I know it's hard. It's a whole fucking weekend, but
yeah, which I would plan out just like 4 days
for it. The other day,
Wait,
this week. I just got my first gig booked for it during South by, so I'm gonna hopefully, like, my goal is this year. I think will be a building year for Loom. I think it's just like South by is such a thing that you have to plan 6 months in advance for, and so, you know, I think, but if you came there, we will be able to build a lot of content around the community that we're going to have there, because there are going to be a lot of artists, there are going to be a lot of managers, people who are affiliated in the music industry, and Loom has a lot of people's eyes on it, man. So I think if you came down, you wouldn't regret it. I'll just put it that way.
Well, I do know that. So if I can make it work, also like a big part of my like current process right now is that I'm trying to become like a pilot, like get my private pilot's license.
No way, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like I'm studying and taking flights and like scheduling flights and trying to get like student loans. Yeah, so like music is always there. Like it's always, you know, but dude, like
I just have those you have these other passions, man. Like so many people think musicians are one-dimensional and that we only make music, and in fact, like, we're actually some of the most multi-dimensional people ever. Like, you know what I mean? We want to do other things.
I want to. Like, I like even the way it's prioritized is like, it kind of makes me sad. Like, you know, because passion is behind all the music we do. And then you have this passion to do other things, but it takes all this studying and all this real life shit that seems like adulting, and you're like, but I miss music. Like, you know how you're like being a pouty, like the baby, like the boy inside of me is just like, I miss it. But it's like, you know, I'm nurturing my like future, you know?
Dude, so I was listening. It's I know we're going on a tangent. I do really want to know about how you found Loom, but
it's my fault.
But hold on, no. What I was gonna say is, man. So I was listening to this Andre 3K interview with Ruben the other day. It was like a little podcast they had together, and super cool. But one of the things he said is like, you know, when you're a musician and you're creating, you really are like bringing that inner boy or inner girl, you know what I mean, in to you, because he kind of put it like this, and I relate to this so much. When I'm in my studio, bro, it's like no one can open these doors. it's like me being when I was a kid using my imagination with like little action figures and like be in my own world. Pew pew pew. And then dude, somebody as soon as your mom opens the door, like dinner's ready or whatever, the whole universe dies. You know
Just
what
like,
I mean?
yeah, like the
It's
Toy
like,
Story characters
dude,
go back
music
to
is the
the
same
floor.
way, bro. It's
Yeah.
like sitting inside of your room and then somebody opens the door and your creative energy kind of like, whoa, I'm different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like,
yes.
I think
That is
that
a
really is your
connection to
inner
like
child. You know what
mindfulness.
I mean?
And yes, that.
Inner
Because
child.
when you're a kid, you're born into like wavy. I feel like you don't realize like everything is wavy and everything looks huge. And that's because you're like developing like the synapses and like all of the scientific brain stuff. And then like your brain becomes adult and it's like not as fun at all anymore. It's way more logical.
Yeah.
You see an apple and you call it an apple. You're no longer calling it like appy poos or like whatever. You know what I mean? Like you're way more creative as a child.
I follow you, dude. I follow.
Yeah. And so that is definitely what we're connecting to. That's how Are You Down There was written, because I was like, hey, yeah. I was like, I will, and it's a place of healing, but like Boy Hurt is really like that. Like connecting to that child, the inner child. Because that's who's hurt inside of you. That's the one that is always like, if you're holding a grudge, it's because you're being a baby. You have to like sit with yourself, but also bring all of those lower consciousness things like sadness that I used to isolate myself into, and like anger, and bring them up into a space of like joy and light and love, to like really cope and figure out why that's happening. And that's where we all write from. I think we all write from like that space that's like higher consciousness. It's actually without words, and then we somehow find the words to like convey what we feel. So like, yeah.
Dude, nah, that's deep shit. No, but it's real. Like I feel the same way, man. Like I'm totally you sometimes come home with emotions or baggage or things that a situation sparked, but that's maybe not why you have those feelings. Maybe that's just like the moment that you were triggered to have those feelings in that time.
Yeah.
I go, right, dude. I mean, all that stuff kind of goes away. You know what I mean? I literally just, it's like, it's therapy in a way. Music. Yeah.
It is. And if it doesn't go away, then you're like, it's not the time. Like, I need to come back to this when I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, tell me about how you got into Loom. Yeah,
how I got in. Okay, so like
or how you heard about Loom, any of that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, this is what happened. I had been telling my friends for like my friends and my family, just anyone close to me. I was like, I'm gonna get an iPhone, and they were like, oh yeah, like they were like, sure you are. Because like I loved it too. Like I loved it. I was like, if you need me, text or call. Like they knew, because like I wasn't gonna get on. Like I didn't have any of the like medias and stuff.
Oh wow. Okay, got you.
And if I did, I would get on like an iPad and like post like a dumb meme and be like, LOL. Like my personal account is Flame Daddy, like on Instagram. Like that is like
love it.
Just just LOL Instagram. So like November, like it was the month before November, September and October I finally finished like Sweet Hornet, and I was like, I told my friends and family, I was like, I'm gonna get an iPhone for music, because like it's like how, I don't know, it would help me GarageBand, recording voice memos, just like getting back into the swing.
Yeah, it's more creatively sort of like it's more geared for creatives for sure.
And it integrated with my computer that I got this summer, and I had started making stuff in Logic, and I was like, okay, I really want to do some music stuff.
Yeah.
And so I got it November 1st, and November 3rd, I searched in the App Store music, and Loom was the first thing that popped up. And I was like, yes. And it was like top 100. Like that was when there was buzz about it, like on the App Store. It's like top 100 like music apps.
Oh, this was November, but this was November when you got it?
This was November.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, what is this? I was like live underground music. I was like, yes. Yeah. And I was like, I hope this is like, you're downloading it. I'm like, I hope. And then I get on there and it's like, literally, it didn't even matter if there was like 5 artists, because it was like, this is it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, this is it.
It felt, whenever I first heard about it as well, I just released one night and I was just like, whoa, like, this is interesting. You know what I mean?
And then also the founders being so integrated in welcoming the people coming in, saying like, yo, like, here's like, if you need help, and like, here's some cool artists to listen to, just like sharing, you know, like really becoming like the momentum behind the, like, that's where the energy comes from, that it's like, hey, this is how to use it, like, let's do this.
Right.
And then it's like
their
that
willingness
community
to like, and their energy to come and just like really be willing to tell every single person who joins the app, like, yo, if I have to set a one-on-one call with you, I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean?
Yes, and
Whatever.
that happened. Like within the first few weeks, I was talking to Andre and like Luke, and they were like kind of telling me about like, and like I feel like that just is how like when I talked to them, I was like, you know, this energy. We've talked about this during this chat, that like people can come in and like want to monopolize it and make it into something that like we know that there's more. Like this is about that human connection that we share. That's how we ended up here. Like it doesn't matter, because there's such a firm foundation in that human connection that we all share through it, that like that never goes away. Like what we have is to be like an example of that and continue to spread that love, because that's like that's how it remains.
Facts.
You know,
no, for real,
found upon it.
Totally the truth. Yeah,
never goes away.
Right.
And then also that the app and all iPhones and the internet could crash tomorrow, and it doesn't take away from what we've all learned through this experience.
Totally. I tell people that all the time. It's like, dude, what do you care? It's like people who are like hesitant to join Loom because, well, what if it's not around? It's like, bro, like, number one, it doesn't matter if it will be or not. There's free attention there, so you can go gain an audience anyway. But number two is like, that's like just the shitty. That's such like a naysayer negative perspective. Is like, I don't want to go join this because it might fail in 3 months. It's like, dude, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Go like, go try. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of people's ego getting in the way, and that happens a lot. Like sometimes, like you just have like you kind of have to try to approach it from the like that's me trying to like rope people in and be like, please join this, because I'm like, you kind of have to ditch your idea of what you ever thought you were gonna be, because you never know going in, and you just have to connect with people, like really
straight up.
And how our music really starts to disappear when, like, I'm not even kidding, going on to Loom, I forget that I have music on there until like someone likes it, and I'm like, wait, oh, like I'm an artist here too. Like that's fucking crazy, dude. I'm like, I forget. Like it doesn't feel like it.
I know what you mean. Even then, you know, like I try to consciously use Loom more, but we all know that people are using Spotify and Apple Music to like listen to certain music online. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think they're very accepting of that in a way, and they're doing their best to make sure that more people adopt their platform. But you know, they're not unrealistic to say that people are just going to cancel all their subscriptions to other platforms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I really am a big fan of the founders as well. So anyway, you found it in the App Store. You joined, and then like, what happened when you uploaded your first song to tell me about you know, like you joined in November. Like, well, for joining in November, man, I was fortunate enough to find out about it like July 3rd or 4th or something like that.
Yeah. And I had seen people that had been there for months, and I was like, whoa, this thing has been around. And I was like kind of sad a little, but like didn't have too much FOMO. I was just like, damn, people have been here for like 3 months. And like, and then also seeing people that had posted for 3 months but not been back for 3 months, I'm like, come back. Like, I miss you. Like, because you know, you want to interact with them too. And that was like another thing I really started when so I got it in November, and I started to interact with people who had just posted music, or like the things that were happening live. Like I would be like, oh, like, because that's where you can really tell someone and like let them know. Because like Yeah.
Yeah, and they're vulnerable. You know, they're kind of half one foot in the door. They're looking for a reason to hate it, but they're also looking for a reason to like it.
Which is why when I get a new follower, I always check on who it is, because that new follower is probably new to Loom.
Right.
Like usually that's my new followers list is like joined literally today, has like 30 followers and like one track up that has 6 plays. And you're like, well, shit, let's listen to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
dude, it is fun listening. Dude, because like, so you know Alec Ferris?
Yeah.
He's
an amazing dude. And also like giving me really good feedback on my music, which what the hell, Alec Ferris, like, and you, just like anyone reaching out and being like, yo, it's like, how do we have this?
Oh,
it's
man.
crazy.
And
Alec is insane.
It's cool to like you know that you can go and basically, you know, just be around other people who are in a similar boat to you.
Yeah.
And they're willing to talk to you know what I mean? Like they're willing to like help craft something for you or help you in any way.
Yeah, it's a humbling space.
Talented, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It really does even the playing field with everyone. Like when talent recognizes talent, no matter where they're at their journey, when they see like potential, and then they just want to help you unleash that potential.
Right.
You know? But yeah, Alec was one of the first like albums that I found on Loom that like, you know, just like, because like I'm a huge fan of like Sohn and like Chet Faker.
Yeah.
And like, so like, the production.
Nick Murphy now? Is Nick Murphy releasing any music anymore?
Yo, I don't know.
You know what I mean? He was so hot for a while, bro. He was so hot for a
while. And that's the thing is like, that influences like just hearing stuff and hearing people achieve the sound that like you've admired for so long is like that, and it keeps you in it. You're like, I can do it. Like if I just set my mind to it, figure it out, it might take me 5 years, but eventually I can get like the sound that I was looking for. And that will be my like that will be my moment for myself when I'm finally like into like every track like the way that I wanted it. But for now I'm just having fun and like releasing pop and like, you know.
Yeah, I think, you know, you unlock different layers, man. Like it's just like anything, man. You're not going to become a good basketball player, you know, until you go and shoot 15,000 3-point. You know what I mean? Like you just have to keep going, and you will eventually discover where your strong suits are, what you can lean into, where your vulnerabilities are. You can get better at those vulnerabilities, and you'll just continue. Like I love artists I love being an artist so much, and part of the reason I chose to be one is because I can make music until I'm fucking 87 years old. And probably at that point, I'll be able to use like some little things on my brain that like allow me to fucking make it all,
VR
you know,
headset that it's just
right. Yeah. But I just mean like as a fucking athlete, you can't, you know, you're not, I mean, maybe esports people are, but like, I just, you know what I mean? Like actual sports, it was always like, dude, your body's going to give out at 32 and then you're going to fucking be like, what am I? You know what I mean? Like it's
I experienced that firsthand.
Get better and better and better and different and try different things. And for as long as humans live, it's kind of a never-ending journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could continue to explore.
But also the way it informs just everything. Like if I didn't have it, the drive that I've learned through just like never giving up with that is like it informs every other choice that I'm making. Like it's the fuel behind everything. And that isn't to say that it's just that music is the only reason I know that. It's like music is one reason, and it helped me find that passion just for life in general.
Same.
For sure.
It makes me know that the hard work that I'm putting in now and maybe the job that I'm not the biggest fan of and the things that I'm doing on a daily basis, like it gives me something to look forward to and something that I know is not just like, I'm not stuck, you know, music does it. I feel when you're in music, you're like always one hit away. Like you really are, you know what I mean? You're one hit away from completely changing your entire life.
That's the tension too. I feel like it's like the tension between you and like what you're already creating is like, I know I'm on the brink of like, and then even the songs that come out before all of that, like feel like good. Like the ones that you're proud of, you're like, yeah, like
Oh, dude,
I'm on.
isn't it so, dude? And that's the coolest, dude. When I can go back and listen to the music I made at 16, 19, 23, like just go and listen to all that music. It's literally, there's nothing like it. You can't look at a painting, a picture that tells you as much as that song tells you about that person at that time in terms of the journey that you've been on to get to where you're at now.
Yeah.
It's there forever. Like, I love that shit. You know what I mean?
You're lucky to have like your archives because I've lost like 3 iPhones. I'm not kidding. Back when that's why I gave up on iPhones, because I was like, I'm gonna lose this shit. Someone's gonna yank it, steal it, whatever. Because iPhones are a hot commodity.
I lost a bunch of iPhones as well, but the reality is there's a lot of music that I will never listen to again. But because I released it through other bands and stuff, like I can go SoundCloud and listen,
which is really cool too.
Which is like, like even Brevin Kim, Olympic J, or like the Olympic group, so I'm potentially teaming up with them in 2020 and doing some cool stuff, which will be fun.
I would love that.
Super cool organic relationship. Love Benzie, love all those guys who are working with them. But it's one of those things where I feel like the whole reality behind going and finding other artists out there or other people who want to help support your vision, you know what I mean? You can leverage something like a Loom community, and you can leverage their knowledge and their, like Jay, he has archives of all the Brevin Kim stuff, and like he showed me a bunch of their other stuff that they released that will not see the light of day probably again, and it's fucking like it's a little bit more raw, it's a little less polished, but it's super good,
and that's something that we love. Like I feel like all of the lo-fi, like raw cut, like I prefer that.
Some Lil Peep type stuff, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Or dude.
I mean, because that hits. It's just like, okay, you really just opened the mic and went, didn't you?
Dude, bass and drums. I just love the raw feeling they can give you. A good 808, a good drum hit.
I like
somebody's vocals over it, like
the kick and relief. That's what I like to call that, because I love a good like slow jam. It's like kick. Release there, release there. Yeah, like just like really just like suspending you and like grinding you through this wave. Like I'm so into that. You have a song like that. Is it Sunday kind of like
that? Sunday's like that. It's very wavy. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yes. That's got the soul. Yes. I love that suspension of time where you're just like, oh, it's happening. And then you get it, you're like,
I love that shit as well. Like that's honestly more of the music that I write more music like that than I do the more upbeat stuff. But
because I feel like that's the feel. Like we like that feel. That's why I have a lot of the slow, like I have like slow demo-y stuff that is kind of like transitional for me, like on an album maybe. Just like a lot of like, just like a beat and then like a couple chords and just like flowing for like a minute and a half, and that's just it. Like,
and dude, so my thing is, bro, is that I'll vibe out with like very minimalist chords, a bass line, and some drums, and I'll just fucking vibe on that. I might put a little vocal line on it, but like the moment I try to add a guitar or like a synth or like other things, it takes away from the rawness that you feel. That you feel from that sort of very stripped away track.
Yes, which I totally have been connecting with. Also, that like a lot of music that like from the SoundCloud days, and like when there was like a big wave of just, artists just doing stuff like that. Like just being like, this is the guitar chords that I chose. It's electric guitar and me just singing the song. And it gets like, I don't know. I just love that. I used to make mixtapes and like send them to my friends and be like, listen to this. It's raw as hell. It's lo-fi as shit. And it's just people in a basement. You can tell. And it's the best. Like, and I really like, I've been working really close with one of my friends, Alex, to just kind of like vibe. That's who I jam with. So like, I've been learning a lot, just like jamming, like picking up lead guitar and like really trying to fucks with it because it's important.
It is.
And
It's just creative energy, you know what I mean? Like to be able to go one note and string something together. It's very good for you.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, there's just, we are unlimited. There's like all this opportunity presented to us every day on Loom. Not even just as artists, like fans. Fans. Like the fans, it's like, and that's where it all comes from. It's like the community is built upon fans. It's really not even artists. Like the music is great and that's what we share in. But like it's all of us together and the power that we have.
Right.
Are you doing the moving on like the next remix?
So I started the other night and I really
did too.
kind of fucked with what I made. So the day that it came out on 31st, I spent probably like a couple hours. I was at my girlfriend's house, so I was just basically like using my laptop instead of like my full desktop setup.
Yeah.
And I think I came up with something fun for it. My whole thing is like getting it to be. Remixes are tough for me, bro.
They are tough.
So it's like, because I'm so used to using Lonely Child, but I'm not going to use him probably for a remix like that.
Yeah.
So it's like for me to take it to 0 to 80% is not so hard, but that 80 to 100% is like fucking tough for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know, because like that's my Brevin Kim. I was like, damn, if I had like another month and a half, I could probably pump this shit the way I want it. But then I posted my all, like what I gave it,
Yeah. So
but like your potential and stuff.
What do we have until that's due? Do you know?
I think it's the 14th.
Okay, so I'm probably gonna try to touch that up some more this week, but but like the remix contest, I have mad respect for everybody who dropped. Like for one night, dude, the amount of fucking submissions I had and how fearless people were for it, bro, is just like, and same with Brevin Kim, like how fearless people are to go do that. Like,
what did it feel like for you to be like, here's the vocal stems and like my shit? Like what?
Really weird, bro. It was.
I know.
It was straight weird, bro. I was, I thought it was super exciting. I thought it was super fun. Not only from a creative perspective, but also from just a business perspective. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I'm going to get engagement on my own music. I'm going to be able to hear other people flip it. And like, dude, now, like, because it's matured a little bit now, and there's like literally dozens of artists who have over 1,000 plays on their remix of my song.
Right.
It kind of just, it's trippy, dude. It's interesting because you get to see other people's fearlessness. Like, dude, some of the best stuff was released. Some of the best stuff that they dropped was dropped within 24 hours of the fucking stems being sent out.
I know.
And dude, just to see somebody like say like, nah, like give me that beat. I'm about to fucking show you what I can do. And like, man, I don't even know how to respond to that, dude. Other than just thankful, you know what I mean?
And at a point, it's like transcends words. You're like, I'm at a loss for words, because just like, damn, like how is it? Yeah.
And how are all these people like, like that's, the crazy thing is, bro, like the rap community, how much they embrace one night. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the rap community and hip hop in general, it's always been something that's so accepting of other music, but to have accepting of like, my music and my beat, that's so different than some of like maybe the Post Malone style music that's coming out today, or the not even that, just straight, dope hip hop, like, you know what I mean? When you just hear somebody who's raw as fucking, like Lim shits the fuck out of my music, and I fucking really fuck with that dude. Like his music is so dope, you know what I mean?
All
and then Devon, like his music is so fucking dope, like, you know what I mean? Like I think
wait, Devon Terrell or Landon Devon? Which
am I messing it up? His name?
No, but hold on. The funniest thing ever. The first week I was on Loom, I commented on Devon Terrell's.
Oh really?
Yeah, like thing, and I was like, "Tell the world Devon not coming down" or something. Like I was like, but I like kind of knew. I was like, maybe, wait, that's Landon. I got them confused for a second. Okay. And then I was like, but then at the same time, I was like, I actually posted it. And I was like, I should, like a minute later, it was like, I should take that down because that's not the same. And then I was like, no, I shouldn't. This is a dope Loom comment because it combines all of the worlds. I don't even care.
Dude,
and I left it.
and I think like so Landon Devon was the right guy I was thinking of, but like you know,
Yes.
but even
He's
like
dope. He's
like Trace,
reached out to me too. Like,
Trace, you know what I mean? Like
all these people that you mentioned reach out. Like
dude.
it's nuts because they've all been into my DMs and been like, "Yo, welcome." And
Well,
like,
so you know, they're you're welcome. They're cool about it, but it also speaks to like their journey as artists, man. Because if you're looking at them, Lem's been in this shit for a long time. Landon's been in this shit for a long time. Trace has been in this shit for a long time, dude.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of artists just start making, and you really don't realize that like you really have to like go as ham as possible in every direction for a period of time, and you'll wake up after you get through that a year later and you'll be like, oh damn, like I look at the world differently now, you know what I mean? And I think guys, you know, including myself, have been at this for a long time, you know what I mean? Like that's important shit, you know what I mean? Like even Young Sum, you can hear it in the way that his fucking, you know, it's so dope.
You totally can. Like you hear it in the way that people's music it is developed. Like you know that there's hard work behind it. That's a comment that I leave a lot on people's music is that like your hard work is tangible. Like because it's the hard work that showcases their talent. Like you can just have talent. A lot of people out here can sing, but their hard work is what shows through the music that they create.
100%.
Like, and that's what I'm like so astonished by all the time, especially on Loom, because like you can post whatever the fuck you want on Loom. Like you can post dumpster trash. I've kind of posted some dumpster trash. I'm not like completely like out of touch with like my potential and all of that, but like also people that like have worked really hard, you can see it and you can taste it and it's there present when you're listening.
Right.
Like it's not just an overnight thing. Like it didn't just like fall out of them. Like they worked hard for that shit. Even if it took them 20 seconds to make a song, like in 2 minutes in a day, it took years of work.
It's all the energy that they put up until that day in that moment.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And that's what drops and that's what hits and you're like, fuck. Like that's some good shit.
It's fucking dude. It's
because it has years of hard work behind it. Yeah.
It does, man. So
it's great.
So we talked about like how you discovered Loom, kind of about where you're from and kind of how you got into music originally. Yeah. What's on the horizon for 2020? I mean, I'm sure kind of you know, you can answer this however you want, but you know what I mean? Like, have you thought, what's your kind of goal and ambition for this year other than continuing just creating music and staying in the flow and like what like have you thought about that at all?
Yes. I have my first ever live show that I've ever played ever.
Yeah.
Planned in February in Cincinnati. So not even my hometown. I'm not starting here.
How close are you to Cincy, by the way? Because I haven't been to Kentucky, but I've been to Cincy.
And it's an hour and a half.
I guess I've been to Kentucky. So you know,
yeah, in a way because it's like northern Kentucky. It's right on the line. Yeah. It's the hills of Kentucky. That's what Cincinnati is. I'm going. It's only an hour and a half, and so it's not a bad drive for me. And then I have a lot of family. Like it feels like family, but they're friends. But every time I've ever gone to Cincinnati, it's very similar to Louisville, and I always feel like open arms. And the great thing about playing in Cincinnati is that I will know probably only the people that show up, and then everyone else will be strangers. I'm really into that.
That's just
because yeah, like showing up to like a little bar here and then like having people I went to high school with show up is like not what I'm wanting for my first show.
Bro. I feel you. No,
I just want some anonymity.
It's hard to really let go when you have somebody who perceive you in a different light from back in the day. It's hard for you.
That's ego kind of going into it. Do you know what I mean? Like I recognize that, but like also I'm working on it. Okay. Like, you know, it's all kind of happened. Like, and I've been planning this for years. Like I've been practicing for 2 years, like acoustically. My entire set is acoustic. Like I don't have a computer. I don't really know how to get my pop to translate to the stage. So I just learn everything acoustically and have an acoustic set.
That's awesome.
I also write country, so like a few of my songs are country, and They're like bar songs. Like one of them is called Kentucky Cologne, and it's just about how I can't afford anything better than the sweat that drips off my phones.
Dude, that's
So, like,
rad. I love that. That's
yeah,
a dope.
and it's old school, like Waylon Jennings style, like
My
classic
man.
country kind of shit.
My
Yeah.
man.
I'm really in. I just really love that, and that like also speaks to like how like my grandparents, what they like showed me growing up and stuff like that. It's an ode.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So that's like my first show, and then I have Madison, Wisconsin planned. I'm going January 24th to the back to school bash. So that's gonna be sick.
Yes.
And then everything in between, like, so that's just these first few months. Everything in between is going to be like fully prioritized on pilot training because it's like it takes up the majority of my time outside of work to go and schedule flights and get my hours and study the exam, and because I will have to be taking the written exam. And so it's a lot of studying. It's like studying for the boards or whatever, or like one of those big.
I've had a couple friends of mine who have gotten their pilot's license. One of them went to like Embry-Riddle, like that crazy pilot school or whatever.
For sure.
And now all he does is fly drones, which is hilarious to me. But
I'm drone certified. I took that.
Yeah,
that was one of the first exams I took, just like entry to like airman knowledge. So
but I have mad respect. My dad he got his pilot's license back in the day, and like basically was able to fly all the time, and worked for a company that had an airplane, so he could use that. And like
that's awesome.
That shit's like freedom, like real freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty.
Did you get to ride with him?
I've done it. I've probably ridden with him like 3 times, because basically whenever he was raising me, he kind of let all that go a little bit, and moved on to I guess a job that was like going to pay him more or whatever.
Yes,
but
for sure.
As life goes on, but yeah, dude, he I have mad respect for that. So that's cool. So you're really hyper focused on getting that by the end of 2020.
Yeah, just private pilots.
Got you.
Finished. And that's just one hoop. That's like the first step to going on to be, really a certified flight instructor, being able to teach other people, which I can get paid for flying people around and teaching them how to fly. That's awesome. And then gain more hours and work my way up. It's like a tiered system. You put hours in, and then you work your way up and all of that stuff.
Qualifications, then you put more hours in, and qualification. Yeah.
Which I'm stoked about that, because it's like music is always going to be there. It's going to be there at the end of the day when I'm like exhausted and like really like that's when I vibe. Studio time, just kind of like a little drowsy, chilling. Like I've always liked the chill vibe. Same. And that's more of like what I go for. So like I might have 2 big pop like kind of things, but like really I like that, just like Erykah Badu is a huge influence for me, and like D'Angelo, and just like smooth soul, like
so Long Way Down, like that was 100% trying to channel my inner D'Angelo.
Love that
song.
And I vibe it. I really do vibe that. Like D'Angelo's insane. Like talk about music.
Talk about one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah. Right.
Bro.
Yeah.
He didn't drop an album for 16 years, and it was the #1 album again. You know what I mean? And Voodoo isn't even an album, bro. Voodoo's like a fucking different planet. You know what I mean? Like Voodoo is its own thing.
It's like you can't. I mean, I don't think you can describe with words how that feels. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those albums that's just like, wow, like timeless as full.
And it came out in 2000, bro. Like,
I know, it's insane.
So dumb.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that's what I mean. Of course, those are influences. It's like you like kind of have that as a guide to be like, I know I love this sound,
right?
And like I just want to relax and like kind of channel in what it's like when I feel that soul and let it go. And I feel like I feel that with your music too. Like I can always sing to your music because like it has that soul, and you don't have to sing like what you're singing ever. Like you can just like choose to like flow off on your own shit. You know what I mean? That's like me listening to Erykah Badu or D'Angelo, just being like background vocalist kind of shit. Like, you know what I mean?
That means a lot, bro.
Yeah. It's great. It's seriously so great. And it's wild too to be able to like have like some insight to how that developed and just like I don't know, be here, meeting you and all of that. It's really special.
Dude, no, I couldn't agree more, man. I mean, I think part of the reason I do set up this whole Loom Artist Spotlight thing is, man, is that I think people are quick to judge artists if they don't have enough context for really where they're coming from in long form. I mean, I can make these little 1 minute, 30-second videos about Leisure Lane and how I did it, and that does inform you a little bit around like the process of how it went. But like these long form sort of, now that the world's more open to listening to 2 hour long podcasts and YouTube and shit, like to me, that provides a really big opportunity for every Loom artist, particularly, to go and say, like, here's my journey, know a little bit about me. I mean, in the same way that we go watch interviews about our favorite artists, it's like, this is, there needs to be a channel for this, for artists to be able to express, like, where they're coming from and why their music is different and unique.
It's really wild that I ended up in the mix because of Wave Walk and Dub. I really don't like compare. I'm not comparing myself, but like just ironically in the mix, like that I'm just like tossed in with them. It's just silly. Like I'm not trying to like compare myself at all, but it is just kind of funny. Like not like I haven't put work in or anything, but like their like expertise is like insane, and I look up to them so much, like as artists. And I think that's like why we're all in it together. It doesn't matter where you came from, what your story is. If you're putting in the work and you admire it and like you're here to show up and put the efforts in, like you're going to get that support. It doesn't matter if you just started 2 months ago. Like we want to help you. Like let's go. Like all of us together.
Man, like, I wanted to interview you particularly because of just how active you are on the app. And dude, you built a brand on the app partially because of your music, obviously, and your creative expression, but also because you're engaged and you're really like taking the time. And I can tell just by talking to you that you're not in this for the short term. I mean, you're not just trying to go gain a bunch of, like, you're trying to literally do the work and go through the long haul. And
it's the connection,
bro. You have all these other things that you have going on, just like everybody else. So like, I appreciate that way more than somebody who's fronting and acting like all they do is go party and make music and you know what I mean, bro? Like
which I mean sometimes that does come out in your music, like that it's like a fantasy world, but like when it comes down to it, it's connecting. Like, do you really connect with people just in general? Like, I don't have to be a musician to like know what it's like to like empathize and like connect with another human, and to also not give in to the illusion that we are just one ourselves, like that we're just like piloting one body flying through this space. Like, it's like we're all here to help each other get better.
Hey, dude, give me just one.
Yeah, totally.
Good on. Do an interview. This is my brother. Sorry.
Oh, you are so good. That's awesome. No, see, that's good. I'm like glad that your fam is like involved. Just my bro for a second. I'm like, bring him in. What's going on?
He was like, nah, he doesn't like the camera.
Yeah, I get it. I totally understand him there.
Well, cool, man. Well, so let's talk to kind of about what you want to do for 2020. It sounds like you've got like a lot going on, and you got.
I also have like a 5-track EP in the works, 5 to 7.
Dope.
So like I'm planning on like dropping like an album, just Loom exclusive. I might try to get a single out this year on streaming platforms, but I'm not really concerned with Spotify.
No, I respect that, bro.
Like I want my artist name to be like claimed, and I want to like have my work like, I don't know, just like in case like I ever wanted to like release stuff, but I don't know why I would want to. Like I'm at this stage where I just feel like being Loom exclusive. Like
I actually respect the hell out of that, because I think Loom will provide you in a way that it hasn't been able to give to other artists, a playground to do more discovery and a playground to do more sort of testing, really. I mean, you can go and figure out who's going to fuck with your music and how they're going to fuck with your music. And, Spotify, it may just sit there, but you'll probably have a number of your fans from Loom who would go listen to you on these other platforms.
Right.
But I think you're smart to just be like, I'm put it on Loom. I got a fan base there. I'll continue to grow there. And, you got 5 songs that you're going to be able to go out. If you want to drop them on other platforms, no one's stopping you from doing that. You know what I mean?
Right. But also to have like a single on Spotify would redirect people to Loom if they liked my music. Because
that's true.
If I put out like one of my 1.5-minute singles, I don't really care about like the streams or anything, but like anyone that was like, let's see what he has on Spotify. I have like a single up, but then I have like an album on Loom. Like, come back over here. Like, what are you doing? Come back. That's like kind of how I feel. And then also just that like the group and like the foundation of just this entire community that we have this like, we have enough people to make change in the world, like helping other people, involving like charities and outreach and volunteer work and stuff like that too. So like this, I'm really hoping to get this like Moving On remix finished up, and then like whatever like proceed, like because this is going to be the first thing that we get like notes for,
right,
and can really like cash out on, I guess, so to speak. Right. And so what I've been doing is like looking into local like charities and like outreach programs that like nonprofit organizations, so that like I can with whatever comes in from the Young Sum remix, that I can like just go ahead and like forward that to like nonprofit organization that like I believe in, that is helping like my community.
Right.
Because I want that to be kind of like an example of the power, like, like we're like, it's great that we can get paid for our art. Like, that's amazing.
So true.
So if we can do something to help not just ourselves, but like other people through music, because I think that's the point, is like we're putting our voice out there vulnerably because someone else might connect with it and not feel alone. Right. I mean, that's where music's always been for me. And then like actively in your community, you can be doing something like through your actions to help people not feel alone, and the people that are actually in need, because like music was there for us when we were in need. And so what an amazing power we have to forward that action into our communities, like through like volunteering and getting involved with the people that really need it,
Totally.
So that's
that's actually an interesting perspective, because I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right. Like, here's a way for us to make even more impact with the impact that we're getting from our music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I love that, bro. I really love your perspective, man. You really do have that long-term, like, this isn't all about me. This is about the joy that I'm bringing to other people across the world, the perspective that I'm bringing to other people across the world, and how I can invest what they've invested into me into things that I care about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Love that,
it's a flow. It's a flow. It's going, not only is it coming in, but it's like going out from me. And that's how it's like waves. Like my love goes out and then it comes back in with like everyone's support. And then I just like put it back out. Like, because it's never mine to begin with. It like never was. We're blessed to be where we are now. There's so many people that don't have this blessing. And like, I think it's something that we can share with those that don't. So dude, like that.
It's powerful, man.
Grand scheme of thing. Yeah.
Powerful, man.
For sure, right? And it's what we all have. So we all have that power, and it's great. It's a great feeling, for sure.
And Loom's just going to continue to help us really bring those visions and that drive to make, not only yourself better, but also the world a better place. Like,
yes,
really see this being an extension of that. And man, we have to talk to Andre and Jake and Luke about that sometime, and Max about making donation is like one of the outlets.
Yes.
Money.
Ooh, you are hitting some money, because like I already know, like, just to make it that much more accessible to an artist to be like, you know what? Because I think that if you, and not to be like self-righteous or anything, not to be like, oh, well, I donated 10% of my proceeds to charity. Like, no, it's like, look at like the power that you have in changing, like music is changing the world, and we all have this momentum that can be shared with those in need.
Totally.
And like to make it that accessible would be an amazing thing too. But also to publicize it, not in a like self-glorifying way, but to like show, first of all, how our fan base has helped these, you know, these organizations and outreach in their own communities. Like that is potential. I see that potential, and I know that we all can do that. Like,
and it also fulfills like a need that I think an artist has to like want to help the world.
That wants it to be more. Yeah, because that's like you're helping yourself by like showing up and like giving your voice, giving a voice to like why you're, because you need something. That's why you're making music. You kind of feel like there's something else. There's potential. There's this, not a void, because it's like this, it's this space, but like you want to give a voice to something that is kind of like a hurting or like, or an excited or any one feeling, but you want to connect with people. Like in connecting with yourself, you're connecting with others and sharing that with people. And that's like, I think what everyone can like feel and like connect with and share. And it does, it keeps going. It gets broader and broader. When you like zoom out, you can see the whole world for what it is. And it's really simple. And it's like, it's all these things. It's scary and it's like dark, but it's also light and it's beautiful, and it can be them all. And I think we all are a part of making it change and like bringing everyone together to experience the light and like that joy and the love. Right. Like we can all really sink our hand, like extend a hand. That's what it's about. Like just saying like, hey, I'm here for you. Like, you need help? Like, I'm good. So like, if you need help, here I am. Like,
it really is, man. And I think, you know, it satisfies a thirst that artists have to make the world a better place. You know what I mean? It could. So
fundamentally, yes.
Yeah.
It comes down to that for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, good. Well, cool, dude. I mean, anything else you want to tell the world before we kind of wrap this? I mean, I feel like we've delved into a lot, but like anything that's like on your heart that you want to share before we wrap, or
just simply the simple fact, like, loving yourself, which sounds so hard, I feel like, for a lot of people out there.
So true.
And it's like, it's a practice. It just like music, you have to show up every day to love yourself, and you have to prioritize, not selfishly, but for others' sake. You have to prioritize yourself and loving yourself. So like, yeah, that's an important place to start, is loving yourself. And like, if you don't quite understand it yet, don't be afraid of that. Keep seeking it. Like, you know, because for years I didn't even, people would say like, love yourself, like out in the world. And I'd be like, okay, like, I think I do. So like, I'm good. But like, it wasn't, you know, like it took me seeking that for years to finally start to like understand it. And like, the way that really does affect other people, like it brings everyone together. So yeah, but yes, this has been great.
Dude, this has been so fun. Sorry, my brother's texting me.
You're good. I'm stealing a lot of your time too.
No, dude, no, you're not, man. Like, this is, I love the long formness nature of this interview. I think anybody who, you know, comes and watches this, man, they're going to understand something about you that they literally wouldn't have had access to through any other vertical, other than just directly reaching out to you on a person-to-person basis, man. So like, thank you for being honest and real and fucking and fucking with my music, bro, and me fucking.
Yes,
dude, it's just like, it's
special,
a powerful thing, man.
Like, we're alive and we're here. Like, that's crazy. And then we have all of this on top of it.
Dude, whoa. Dude, yeah, when you start looking at the statistics of being a fucking human in the first place, you're just like, yeah, I better do something with my life, you know?
Yeah. Maybe I should wait. I need to sit still for a second to reconnect with like what this is. Okay, let's get back to it. So.
Well, thank you so much, Bear. Boy, Dude, this is so fun. We'll have to do this again.
Thank you.
Hopefully in person.
Yeah, hopefully it's soon and in person. Maybe
like
South by South.
Louisville, maybe South
I don't
by.
know.
Yeah.
Maybe that. I don't know.
I'll hopefully come play some shows with you guys up in that area sometime soon.
That'd be so cool. Oh my gosh. We would try to get that the Loom crowd out like on this East Coast vibe.
Bro, I can't wait to start filming what the Loom crowd is as well, man. So
that's going to be insane for sure. I can't wait for your shows though. That's going to be sick. I can't wait.
Ditto. I wish I could come up there for the ones you're doing in Cincy, but hopefully you do a little video for it.
Hey, maybe I'll get a little video and let me get my bearings because I still haven't gotten into that scene yet. I'll let you know when I'm like,
when you're ready.
Yeah. I'll reach out to you.
Well, likewise. Well, Bear, Boy, dude, I appreciate it so much, man.
Of our day that we giving up here. If it ain't another fight, is it just a